been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're watching right around the world. Hello and welcome to the Adrenaline GT Assetto Corsa Competizione Season 2. And coming off the back of an incredible Season 1, we are here for the opening round of Season 2 from the Misano World Circuit here on the Italian coastline. It is the Italian job. Beautiful looking circuit, this one. Looking forward to season number 2. And here alongside me to take us through a brand new season of this championship is the one and only Isaac Fogarty. Very good evening to you, Isaac. Season 2, it's going to be an absolute ripper.
Yes, good evening, Trev. Good evening to everybody watching at home. I am absolutely thrilled to be here and cannot wait for all the action to take place across not only just tonight, but across the entire season.
Absolutely, and taking a look, 10 rounds, of course, of this championship. And it all kicks off here this evening with the Italian job. 15 minutes for qualifying, 60 minutes for the race. The weather is variable, so keep an eye out for some surprises from the skies above. A required pit stop, of course, here for this evening as we continue to look at the calendar for this championship, Season 2, like we mentioned. This time next week, it is round 2, the Spanish Super Sprint, which will include 2 10-minute qualifying sessions, 2 30-minute races, no pit stop required, and the weather will be fixed for round 2 at Spain next week. And then, of course, round 3, we have a little bit of a break before heading to the Silverstone Clash for round 3 on Friday the 23rd of May. 15 minutes for qualifying, 60 minutes for the race, a pit stop required for that particular round, of course, similar to this evening, and variable weather there. And the King of the Ring, round 4, Friday the 6th of June, another sprint round of this championship. Once again, no pit stop is required. And heading to the American Grand Prix, of course, knockout qualifying on the Friday before a 3-hour race there on the Sunday, the 22nd of June. And pit stops required there as well as we move along to something a little bit different. This is round 6, of course. One of the new things this season, Isaac, is the TrackSpotTV Challenge. Tell us a little bit about that.
George, so, Trev, a new format for this season. We're going for what we call a sprint feature, similar to what you might have seen in Formula 2, even a little bit in Formula 1 throughout the years. So we'll have a 15-minute qualifying session into a 30-minute sprint race with no pit stop required. That'll be a reverse top 10 of qualifying. So that will be mixing up the order a little bit, especially with inside that top 10. We've got some very fast guys that will be at the pointy end of the field this season. So it could make the difference in that sprint race with no one having to come through the pit lane. Track position will be key. And then we have a 60-minute regular, normal 1-hour race with a pit stop that will be required, similar to what we're going to see tonight. So it's just an hour and a half of racing split up into 2 races, and yeah, plenty of action up and down. Weather variable throughout the whole session, so weather variable for the sprint race, weather variable for the long race, weather variable for qualifying. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to this new format because it's just going to be, yeah, one of the best formats I think we've seen in this series.
Can't wait for that one. Friday the 11th of July, of course, as we move along to round 7. And another interesting round, another new feature, a new concept here for Season 2 of this Adrenaline GT Championship, Isaac, of course, is the community vote. Tell us a little bit about that. That is Friday the 25th of July. We're putting it back to the people, aren't we, to vote on this one?
Absolutely, Trev. I'm nothing if not a man of democracy and want to let the people have their say. So that's exactly what they're doing here at AGT. We're going to let our drivers for Season 2 have their say on where we race in Round 7. That voting will go live in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you jump in the Discord if you haven't already, if you want to get involved in that voting process. But yeah, once we narrow down, we'll have 4 tracks that will go live to our community to vote from. They'll pick their favorite, and that is where we will race for that round. So that will be announced at round 4. We will find out who or where we are racing, for that. And it's just a regular 1-hour race format that we will see again this evening. So 15-minute qualifying, 60-minute race, 1 pit stop required, and variable weather. So I don't know about you, Trev, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing where we end up for that round 7.
Absolutely, can't wait for that one. It is federal election weekend coming up as well, isn't it? So that is fitting that we talked about putting it back to the community. Democracy, of course. Round 8 is the Belgium Grand Prix, Sunday the 10th of August. Knockout qualifying session again before a 240-minute race. Or a 4-hour race, whatever comes first. A pit stop required for that one. Variable weather as well. As we move along to round 9, it is the American Super Sprint, Friday 15th of August. 2 10-minute qualifying sessions, 2 30-minute races, no pit stop required. The weather will be fixed, so nothing to surprise the drivers weather-wise for that one. But Isaac, the finale, round 10, Friday the 29th of August, and sees a 15-minute qualifying session for the finale, round 10 of the championship, the season finale, 30-minute race and a 60-minute race, pit stop required, and variable weather for that one. So an interesting look at what we've got coming up for you here for season 2 of this championship. And let me tell you, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But talk us through this one. We saw the season 2. Tell us, Isaac, who have we got coming back? We've got some new faces, but we've also got some familiar faces as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got plenty of new faces up and down the grid. A lot of new teams this season, but definitely some names you'll recognise, and Simon Bishop is definitely one of those. He's got the number 1 on the car this year, so he's going to look to defend his championship, the overall and pro champion from last season. But Matt Zanetti has made his way into the pro category this season. His payments to stay in the Pro-Am category ran out, and now he's been made pro full-time, and he's got Aidan Holton, also known as Captain Muffin, alongside him in the CP Motorsports entry. So that's going to be a very formidable duo, and a 4th place in the standings for CP Motorsports in Season 1, Trev. I'm very much looking forward to what they can do in Season 2. The Pro-Am category looks a little bit different this season. A few drivers returning. Max Silva is definitely one of those to look out for. Mark Sinclair as well. Andrew Griffin, who finished 3rd in the Pro-Am Championship last season. There's no Dan Crawley this season. He has not been able to race due to personal reasons, and we wish him well. But he is not back, so he will not be there to defend his Pro-Am title. But there's a lot of names up and down that Pro-Am grid that definitely within a shot of that title, and I'm very excited to see what unfolds throughout the season with them. And then the AM drivers, there's a very small AM category this season. We've got 6 drivers in the AM field. A couple names that you may recognise, Takax, Clayton Twining, and Matt Boyd, all returning to the AM category this season. So a lot of new faces in the grid this season, Trev, but also some returning faces as well, which is great to see.
It's going to be fantastic. We're continuing it to count down, of course, to qualifying here this evening. We mentioned Matt Zanetti. Simon Bishop, incredible season, wasn't it, last year for him, Isaac? I know he's dominated various sim racing championships across multiple platforms, but he is back, and is he going to be one of your early season favourites in the pro class? I know it's only early in the season, but is he another one to keep an eye out for yet again?
Oh, you'd have to think so. You can never write Simon out, and we learnt that last season, even with his rounds at Suzuka and Zolder, where he made a couple mistakes that bit him a bit more at Suzuka than it did at Zolder, but he's never one to ride out, and I think he's got the fire in him. He's got the number 1 on the door, and I don't think he's going to give that one up very easily.
Absolutely. He's a superstar, isn't he? Simon Bishop. And we might have a look at this Misano circuit here in this season opener. We're going to have a look at the track. Let's have a look at this one at Misano, of course. Beautiful circuit. We are taking you on a tour of this circuit. 16 corners, Isaac, as you can see here. And we finished the season in the north of Italy. We've headed a little bit further south this time around. The Variante del Parco, very highly technical circuit. And where are some of the passing opportunities around here that the drivers can keep an eye out for tonight?
Well, that long back straight that you can see we're just coming up onto now through Curva Taramondo, if you can get a good run out of there into Cavone, down towards this back section of Sector 3, there is a very good passing opportunity into the heavy braking zone that we see. And then the final corner as well, if you can get a good run out of there, you can get alongside to that Turn 1-2 complex. So there's plenty of passing opportunities around here. Lots of straights, a 600 meter front straight. So plenty of opportunity with these cars that have high speed, especially the Mustangs and BMWs. Keep an eye out for them, because the Mustang, just a little bit of insider knowledge here, actually has no ballast in that car based on the balance of power system that they use here at AGT. So that Mustang, it's got full power, full throttle down the back straight, and it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Keep an eye out for the Mustangs. I know they're always hard to tame, aren't they, as we are going to get into qualifying in just a few moments' time as we get tonight underway, of course. As we see the cars coming out onto the circuit, we speaking of the Mustangs, they are looking very nice indeed. Mercedes-Benz, of course, Mustangs, Ferraris, Porsches, as we see the drivers coming out onto the circuit straight into 15 minutes for qualifying. And you can see we've got 30 plus drivers in the field tonight, Isaac, and it's going to be important to find track position and get some clear air, and hopefully these drivers really need to get a time on the board early, don't they, and get a banker lap in very, very quickly here.
Yeah, it's important to get your time set in early. It's only 15 minutes qualifying session. Most drivers would be used to the 20-minute sessions that we had last season. So 5 minutes less, which isn't a huge difference, but at a circuit like Misano, where it's very, very easy to exceed the track limits around here, you can see the high speed, even on the outlap, just how hard these guys are pushing to get temperature in those tyres. They're going to want to make sure they get a banker in early, because you never know. You could be on a really fast lap and then run slightly wide and it's just invalidated. So it's going to be a challenge for these drivers, absolutely. Very overcast at the moment. No rain forecast so far for this qualifying session, but very cloudy. So the track temperature, I would suggest, will continue to drop as the session goes on. And there's a beautiful 100 Ferrari of Cactus Racing 2 there on the screen. They're very well presented. A lot of these cars up and down the grid using some very, very nice liveries. And Simon Bishop, you can see the lights flashing there. He's already on a charge, Trev.
He certainly is. It doesn't take that man very long, does it? And something we've become familiar with is this man, not only in a BMW, but in number 1, numero uno. That's coming from 1 year of Year 8 Italian, but you can see there, drivers getting ready to start their first qualifying runs here this evening. But Simon Bishop, always one, we mentioned him, one to keep an eye out for. But the Ferraris there, you can see, of Hurley, you can see they're coming through onto the start-finish straight, and it's a very, very crowded circuit. I think we've got everyone bar 2 cars out there on the circuit here so far in the first couple of minutes of qualifying, Isaac. So it is a busy, busy track here at the moment.
Yeah, and there's 34 cars, 33 or 34 cars on the grid, I believe, for this race. So it's a very, very large grid, and it's not a small circuit, Misano, but you put 34 cars on it, Trev, and you run out of track real estate very quickly. And you can see here, you've got Hurley coming up on the back of Horvath in the TTR East side entry in front. This is the 100 entry of Cactus Racing 2, and it's just, you know, cars on an out lap, cars on a warm-up lap, cars on an in lap versus cars on a flying lap. It's going to be very hard to find a bit of space and a bit of room just to get your lap in properly.
Absolutely. We can see the drivers jostling for track position, of course. We might keep going through. We've got CP Greeny there. 31 drivers out on the circuit, and these BMWs look absolutely terrific. We briefly touched on liveries this season. Have you got any personal favourites? I know the boys probably don't want you saying too much about it, but you can see any rules around the liveries, Isaac, this season, or just up to the imagination of the drivers and teams here for this championship?
We give teams full creative control. It's a bit limited what you can do with the liveries on ACC on console, unfortunately. So a lot of teams will opt to use preset liveries. You can see Josh Green here using that lovely Lick or Molly livery in the 96 car, but there is also the opportunity for teams to make their own liveries. The only stipulation we have is that the cars for each team look the same. So the livery is the same so that we know that both cars are obviously part of the same team. My personal favourite, and I don't like to pick favourites, but I'm going to, is the Ferraris of Andrew Griffin in the number 43 and Les Sandwick in the number 15. Those Team XV Ferraris look very nice. I think that's the old livery. You can see Griffin in there, but I believe that Les Sandwick has the new livery on in the 15 car. So, and he's the one that's in behind there that you can see in the background of that shot. So he is, yeah, they're very nice looking cars. the Team XV, they're very well presented as always, and had some very nice liveries on the car last season. So definitely one of my favourites. But I think also I should say the Matt Donetti in that 51 BMW, it looks mean. Trev, it looks fast.
He certainly does. And speaking of BMWs, perfect segue there, because look, we've got our times coming in. Our first qualifying times up on the board. Matt Donetti, is he racing already there? We've got a yellow flag out. It looks like car number 77 has just come into the pit lane. So it can trigger a yellow flag on Assetto Corsa, of course, with the cars coming into the pit lane on the odd occasion. But Simon Bishop, well, he was in the 134s there, but it only took him seconds, Isaac, to get into the 133s. As you can see there with a provisional pole time of a 33.947. Here's half a second there or thereabouts in front of Matt Donetti, and he is a very handy peddler indeed. And into the 133s already. I was about to ask you whether we're going to see anybody into the 133s, and Simon Bishop's just gone and answered that for us with 8 and a bit minutes to go in qualifying.
Yeah, this is what we saw last season. We'd always think, can it be done, probably can't be done, and then Simon Bishop would just prove us wrong and do it. But if there's anyone that can match him, we learnt this at the back end of last season, it's Matt Donetti, and he's pushed and pushed for his team boss to get him in the BMW for this season. They've signed a contract with BMW, they've got the lovely M4 car, and he is absolutely loving it. He's thriving in this car and in this game. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him at the moment. He'll try and get him out of the way, maybe even just back off with a chance to reset and go again. That's Aaron Thomas, who's filling in for Anthony Burrows tonight. He's missing round 1 in TTR East side, but we've got Aaron Thomas, one of our reserve drivers, stepping in. You can see the lights flashing as well for Matt Donetti. He is going to be ringing every ounce of that car that he can. You see he's just pulling over there. He's obviously not going to get past Thomas without a fight, so he's probably going to go back to the pit lane, get a fresh set of boots, and go again.
Absolutely. We saw him flashing his lights down the start finish straight. I don't think he was too happy there on that occasion, but I could be wrong. Less than 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session here. You can see the man we keep talking about, Simon Bishop. You might say he's just doing Simon Bishop things there with a 133.9 at 4.7, then back to Matt Donetti, who is in the lane currently and coming out of the pit lane. He's coming back out on to the racetrack, and a Ferrari there of Hurley, car number 100 there, and 0.4 of a second off the pace. Are we expecting BMW to dominate around this circuit, Isaac? If so, I'd love to get your thoughts. We've got 3 in the first, 4 BMWs inside the top 6 so far.
Look, I think the BMWs and the Mustangs, they're strong everywhere we go. They are, the terminology we use is the meta car, which means just the preferred car in this game, especially with the balance of power at the moment that they're running, the low fuel motorsport, LFM as they call it, balance of power. So that is the preferred car. The Ferrari, though, I definitely wouldn't count out. One's currently 5th place at the moment. That's Mark Hurley filling in for Cactus Racing 2 tonight. He's in 5th place at the moment. And the Ferrari and the Porsche, there's a lot of turning time. There's a lot of straight lines at this circuit, as you can see on the track map down the bottom. But there's a lot of turning time, and one thing the Ferrari is good at is corners. BMW, it's a great all-round car. It's got a lot of front aero to help the rotation, especially through that twisty section in the first sector. So that'll favour it over the Mustang. The Mustang's just good at going in a straight line. We see Mark Hurley pulling off to the side there. But I would not count out the Ferrari for a top 5 this afternoon. And Will Morgan, look, you can't count this man out. He's in an Aston Martin. It's not the strongest car around here, but he was in a Bentley at Indianapolis in round 7 last season, and he won that race quite comfortably. So in a car that may not necessarily suit this circuit, I don't think we can ride him out at all, Trev.
Absolutely not. Will Morgan, the man on our screen, part of FTSC Motorsport. Season 1 finishing position 17th. Did one round, I believe, Isaac, didn't they? Of course. Will Morgan, Josh Gordon in the Pro-Am class, Steve Burridge in the Pro-Am class as well in the V8 Aston Martin Vantage. Steve Burridge, of course, Burrow Dog, as many might know, Isaac, a good mate of ours, of course. But 5 minutes to go in this session, and Simon Bishop continuing. He's gone even quicker. If you can believe that, that is incredible. He was sitting on a 33.9. It's now a 33.830. Is this man human or some type of creature, alien creature? That didn't sound very good, did it? But he's gone even quicker, but Matchin is closing up. And you can see Carter as well in P3 there in a very nice looking Ford Mustang. But it's tightening up at the top. But Matt Dinetti's still P4, P5 now for Matt Dinetti as Will Morgan goes up to P2 here.
Yeah, it's definitely getting close, which is making me rub my hands together. This is exactly what we were hoping for when we put all these guys in the pro class. The alien question, Trevor, is something I've been asking myself for well over 12 months now, watching this man, Simon, do his work in ACC. He just, time and time again, is just consistently he just pulls out laps from nowhere. This is Cameron Fleming, who's partnered with Matt Simmons this season in the BCG2 car. They're running the blue variant of the Liquid Moly BMW livery. He's 6th place at the moment, 5/10 off. What's blowing my mind at the moment, Trev, the top 13 cars all separated by less than a second. So it's incredibly close between the top 5 are also separated by less than half a second. Matt Dinetti has improved his time. He's now within 4/10 of Simon Bishop. Oh, and look at that. Nick Carter goes to the top as we're talking. He's now done a 33.8 to go, 0.013 faster than Simon Bishop. And I don't think you can get any closer than that, Trev.
No, you can see this is incredible. This is an incredible session here. 3 minutes and some spare change remaining here. You can see 33.817 for Nick Carter there, and you can see Simon Bishop, look at that, 0.013. I'd love to get a ruler out and measure that, Isaac. Is that a blink of an eye? Because that is absolutely incredible. You think, what do we got, 16 corners around this circuit. All of those gear changes, all of those decisions being made over the course of a single qualifying lap, Isaac, and you can finish that close. It's incredible. It's one of the most incredible things about motorsport, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look, and that's the beauty of motorsport and the beauty of balance of power. And look at that, Nick Carter. Matt Dinetti's gone fastest. I don't know if you noticed that. Matt Dinetti has gone fastest. He's also on a 33.8. We now have 3 cars all sitting on a 33.8. And the gap between the 3 of them is 0.15 seconds. You could throw a blanket over the gap between the 3 of them. That is absolutely insane. We talk about how competitive this field is, how close it is. And as you mentioned, this is why we love motorsport, because these gaps do not get any closer. Nick Carter, he's about to cross the line now. Can he improve on his time as he crosses the line? No, doesn't improve. He stays second for now.
He's got time though. He's got time, doesn't he, Isaac? Of course, he can. He's got some time to go around. I just cannot believe that 33.815. Wow! And then Nick Carter there, 2 milliseconds further back, and there is 0.2 of a second covering the top 5 as we continue to go look through the order. The top 15, as we see some, I think. That Nick Carter there going off the circuit back into the pit lane, and you can see it down to P15 covered by less than 1 second here in the final moments of this qualifying session. Let's take a look at some of the drivers lower down the order. And what about this livery? I'm loving it. Isaac McDonald's there doing very nicely indeed, the BMW. You can see no PSN ID, or PSN logo, I should say, next to his name. So do we have an Xbox man amongst us here, of course, in the field tonight? Is that what that's indicating?
Yeah, we do have. So we are cross-platform, as they call it. So we have a couple Xbox guys and quite a few PlayStation drivers. So it's really good that there is this sort of synergy between the Xbox and PlayStation universes, that we're able to bring so many people across. And yeah, Matt is definitely one of those guys that is an Xbox driver, but he does great things, obviously, in the McDonald's Fogarty Motorsport Junior livery. I'm definitely not partial to those cars at all. Don't ask me why. But yeah, no, it's great that we can have just so many different cars and different drivers from different platforms across into this league. We've got 15 seconds to go, and I believe we have a few key drivers in the pits, Trev.
Absolutely, I was just about to say that. Carter in the pit lane as well, so he's done for this qualifying session. What can Matt Donetti do? He's currently on provisional pole position. You can see here, car number 51, the BMW. Can he improve? Although he's going very slowly, isn't he, Isaac? I think that might be him done for this session. Unless he can improve. We'll wait and see. Is he going to come into the pit lane? No, he's continuing on through the final corner, out onto the start-finish straight. He's already got pole position. Can he get a bit more breathing space there in P1? He comes across the line. That is his session done. But Simon Bishop is not done with here at the moment, Isaac. He is continuing on. Can he improve here in this final sector?
That is the question that we're asking ourselves, Trev. I'm on the edge of my seat here. Look, you can't go past this. This is what we saw at the end of last season as well. These Matt Donetti, Simon Bishop, time and time again, just within absolute millimeters of each other, around the final corner, using every bit of space he can on that final exit curb, on the grass, crosses the line, stays third. So no improvement for Simon Bishop, but holy, I think that's all the key runners. Aiden Holton still yet to set a lap. He's 5/10 off, so he's going to have to find a lot of time to improve as we enter the final corner now for Aiden Holton. His maiden qualifying session in AGT. What can he do as he crosses the line? He stays 7th. Does improve though, so goes 4/10, so improves by a 10th to stay 7th. But this is what I love about AGT and what I love about Assetto Corsa, Trev. Just the gap between those three drivers, that top three, even that top four, still all within 2/10 of each other, is absolutely incredible.
Unbelievable, and we've said it before and we'll say it again. They're incredible. They're incredible drivers, aren't they? They're professionals, aren't they, at their craft? But that is the end of the 15-minute qualifying session here in the season opener, the Italian job, and in P1. Numero uno, there is Matt Donetti in the GT3 BMW M4. Look at that. That is very strange indeed, not getting the quickest sector times. I don't know how that works, but he's got the overall quickest lap of a 1:33.815. I've seen this before on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it is very strange, isn't it, Isaac? It's strange indeed. But Nick Carter there, as you can see, P2. Well, he might feel hard done by there to be a 0.02 of a second off the pace, but still he is in P2 there. Simon Bishop in P3, Will Morgan in P4, P5 for Matchin, and Cam Fleming in P6. We see the cars lining up on the grid here, ready to go racing, as you can see around this beautiful Misano circuit. And we can see there Holton in 7th, Hurley in 8th, and the Ferrari, the highest placed Ferrari in the field. And when you've got 30 plus cars, P8, that's not good for them. CP Greeny there at the BMW 9th, Elzine in 10th. And then the Pro-Am class there, Silver getting a pole position in his respective class. Gray, Staley, Gordon. Let's take a breath here. The next Ferrari of Lee. Then there's Lashbrook, Norley, Griffin, and Barton. Let me take a breath here, Isaac, as I continue. Nicholson there rounding out P20 overall. Joy, Thomas, and Sandwith, Horvath there, and Sinclair. Then the Mercedes, well down the field here this evening. It's going to be interesting to see how they come through in the 60-minute race. Then the odd one out of the Xbox, of course, there in Boyd. And then GT twinning Takax and Stewart rounding out the grid. But we are getting ready. And if that qualifying session's anything to go by, Isaac, let me tell you, it's going to be a terrific race here. And we're getting ready for this one. It's the AGT ACC Season 2 Round 1. We've got a 60-minute race coming up. And boy, it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Top 15 cars all within a second of each other. You can't get any closer than that. And I'm very much looking forward to this race. If that's how close qualifying is, if that's how action-packed that qualifying session is, it's going to be even more exciting as we get into this race. So 1 hour around Misano, a mandatory pit stop to be served. The weather's a bit cloudy at the moment. It looks like it was clearing up towards the end of qualifying. The track temperature was rising a little bit. The sun was coming out. However, it's an hour, Trev. Anything can happen in an hour. We've learned that across various multiple series, across various categories. When variable weather's involved, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and usually does, a famous commentator once said. But we are getting ready, counting down less than a minute until the drivers will get underway on their formation lap. 29 degrees air temperature. Thank you, race control, just giving us the hurry up there. 36 degrees track temperature. Cloudy, no real wind to speak of as we get ready to get underway in this race. 30 drivers competing in the opening round of this brand new season. It is looking forward to this one, the opening round of a new season, of course. Check us out, TrackSpotTV, of course, all your broadcasting and commentary needs, and TrackSpotTV and RavenComms as well, bringing this to you here this evening. But the time for talking is over. We are almost ready to get this underway, Isaac, as we see the cars pulling away off the formation, on their formation lap, I should say. We're almost ready to go racing here. Yeah,
this is a full formation lap, so there'll be a few nerves, especially from Martinetti. I know how nervous he gets starting from pole position. He is very, very blown away, as we are, by the gaps that we saw in qualifying. But it's just going to be a chance for these guys to really just set themselves in the seat, calm their nerves down. They've got there's a lot of talent across this field, and they're just taking the time now to center themselves, be ready for what's coming. There's a whole hour ahead, nothing silly into turn one. That's what we tell the drivers in every single race. Nothing silly into turn one, because we don't want an incident to happen and then someone's race is over before it even starts. So a whole lap here, phase the tyre correctly as well, get some temperature in it. There's virtual tyre blankets in this game that will put some temperature in the tyre, but they're not all the way there. The pressures will still come up as you circulate and as you drive. So getting temperature into the tyres and the brakes is key at this point in time, so that you get you can see Matt Danetti just sort of doing little weaves there, just to scrub the tyre as much as you can across the track as they head around on their formation lap. And yeah, wow, such a big field, Trev. A lot of cars up and down the field, which is a very exciting prospect.
Absolutely. I've seen big fields around this Misano World Circuit before with interesting results, to say the least, Isaac, but fingers crossed everyone gets away cleanly. And I'm being a tad facetious there, if I can get that word out, but these guys are professionals. They really are, and some world champions, aren't they, in their respective fields and on their respective platforms, of course, as we see them warming up. How important is it, Isaac, to get that heat and get those tyres up to temperature on this formation lap? You want to be good to go. You said about the virtual tyre blankets, but the drivers need to put in a lot of work, don't they, before they get underway in the race?
Absolutely, because when you get to turn one, that's when you need the tyres to grip up, and if you turn in turn one, your tyres aren't warm enough. That's the difference between making the apex of the corner and running off wide and losing a bunch of positions. So you can see them start to grid up now, so the weaving will decrease. All the cars are ghosted at this stage. In real life, obviously, there's no ghosting, so when they grid up like this, you don't want to touch each other, and we sort of encourage the drivers to treat this like it was in the real world. Don't just drive through other cars. But yeah, they're all gridding up now, and I'll hand over to you, Trev, because I think we're not too far away from a race start. But hopefully everyone's tyres are where they need to be because we're about to go racing.
We certainly are. You can see there 30 cars on the grid tonight. We are almost ready to get this brand new season underway. Adrenaline GT ACC round 1 of season 2. The Italian job is almost ready to go. Green light, we are away. Go, go, go. And Matt Donetti drag racing Nick Carter down into turn 1. Matt Donetti with his nose in front holds on to the lead. A rolling start here, of course, this evening. Then Nick Carter slotting in there. Simon Bishop in P3. Will Morgan all over the back of him. And Machin making some moves there around the outside of Holton. We'll keep an eye out for that. CP Greeny is involved there as well. Here on the opening lap, the timing screens taking some time to sort themselves out. Machin, did he make contact with Holton there? The Mustang and the BMW. CP Greeny involved as well, but 3 does not go. In fact, 2 was barely going into 1 here at the moment. They make contact and Machin is around. I was about to say everybody got away cleanly, but Machin there having some contact on that occasion, Isaac.
Yeah, it's all elbows out at the race start. Obviously, we talk about how we don't want any drivers to do anything silly to compromise their races, but at the end of the day, once those lights go out and the helmets are on, it's just a sea of red. That's all these drivers can see. It's like a ball in a china shop. They're all going off. They all want position. You see Silver there battling now side by side with Machin as we head down towards the back end of the circuit. Heavy braking zone through here, and you got to make sure you rotate the car at just the right time. Silver running quite wide there. That could be a track warning. You've got Staley up the inside of Silver, and that was a brilliant move, but I don't think it's quite done yet. Silver's still trying to hold on. Switch back move, and Staley has a look on the inside, but Machin now up the inside of Hurley into the final corner, and it's all going on. It is the chips are down, is the saying, I believe, Trev. And all bets are off as we head into turn 1. That's a lovely cinematic shot. Look how fast the cars move there. That just gives you a great sense of speed, does that camera through that first corner. But this is a great race start. Matt Donetti has done a great job to get away. He's leading this race over Nick Carter. And then Simon Bishop and Will Morgan not too far behind there in a little bit of a battle pack. Matt Donetti, a little bit of breathing room, Trev, which will be crucial for him at this stage just to calm those nerves.
Absolutely. Getting in front in this race, of course, after taking a stunning pole position. You can see just how fine the margins were in qualifying. And it's really showing now, isn't it? Matt Donetti just getting the pole position by 0.02 of a second. And it's really set him up nicely at the beginning in the opening minutes of this race, Isaac, of course, as he takes P1 there, holding on to P1 off the starting line. Nick Carter in P2. Simon Bishop, he's under some pressure here from Will Morgan. And but still, you've got to get up very, very early indeed to make moves on Simon Bishop. You can see that BMW is very wide here. And there's not a lot covering the top 5 at the moment. In fact, it's about a second and a half, so qualifying is really translating, of course, across into the race here at the moment as we see Morgan coming through the final corner to end lap 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 all together, that top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, they're not really separating from each other. 2 seconds back to Aiden Holton, who obviously had that contact with Machin early on lap 1. But these top 5, you saw how close they were in qualifying, just about 2.5 tenths of a second between these top 5 drivers, and Cameron Fleming as well, not too far behind these guys. So this is not going away anytime soon. We saw last season, especially that final race between Matt Donetti and Simon Bishop, they were bumper to bumper for the entire 90 minutes at Imola, which is a massive ask, and both drivers were completely buggered by the end of the race. So that's, I hope that's maybe not for their sake, but definitely for our sake, watching along both here in the commentary box and at home, that we see that for the next 55 minutes, just 4 cars nose to tail. The pressure that these guys are feeling at the moment is absolutely immense. One small mistake would be absolutely costly for these guys, and they just want to get everything millimetre perfect. That's what Matt Donetti will be focused on, but he's got a Nick Carter, a very fast charging Nick Carter closing up behind him now, and as I mentioned earlier, Trev, there's no ballast in that Mustang this round. It's got 0 kilos of ballast, so all of the power and the straight line speed that we typically see from the Mustang has been unleashed.
Absolutely, very difficult car, isn't it, to tame, especially in the traction zones, the rear end of that car. We've seen causing drivers some problems in the past, but you can see they're onto the start-finish straight once again. And Matt Tinetti, are these drivers managing the pace here at the moment? We've got a yellow flag out, albeit briefly there. It looks like car number 79. We'll have a look at that further down the field. It looks like it's Boyd there, having a moment in the McDonald's BMW, but it looks like he's got back going again right at the rear of the field, Isaac.
Yeah, he's a couple laps down already, so it looks like an issue for him early on, maybe some connection issues. He did have a couple of those last season, and being on Xbox, pretty much most of these guys are on PlayStation, so while crossplay is really good, there is sometimes that connection issue between servers, so hopefully he's got back going again now, and hopefully everything's all fine. He looks quite stable on our screens at the moment. He's not jumping around and disappearing into space like we sometimes see when drivers have poor connections on this game. So hopefully he can get his head down. It's a long way to go. And there's Riley Nicholson with his teammate Estali not too far behind. Max Silva leading the way in the Pro-Am class at the moment. This man came in halfway through last season off the back of a massive spinal injury. It was a huge effort for him to get into the cockpit in the first place and start driving again. And he's just come along leaps and bounds ever since then. Definitely, in my opinion, Trev, one of the key contenders for the Pro-Am Championship this season, and he's proving that today just by comfortably leading the way over the CP Racing teammates of Riley Nicholson and Senan Stalley.
Absolutely, love that team name too. Defy Motorsport 1. Max, great name. I've got a Max of my own, a 10-week-old at home, but that's fantastic, isn't it? Pro-Am class. Adam Joy as well, car number 77 in that team. And boy, don't we love a Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, 11th, of course, in Season 1. They are leading the way, of course, in the Pro-Am class here at the moment. And the fastest lap, getting back to the Pro class, in front, Matt Tinetti setting the fastest lap. It says 0.5 of a second, but I've got to say, Isaac, it looks a hell of a lot closer than that for Nick Carter in P2.
Yeah, and it'll look a hell of a lot closer in Matt Tinetti's rear view mirror. I reckon they use a bit of image magnification on those BMWs to make cars look closer, or objects, sorry, may look closer than they appear. And that's what Nick Carter will be trying to do at the moment, get in the head of Matt Tinetti. He's not very easily distracted these days, is Matt. He's very good at just sort of setting himself in, as the kids like to say, locking into that driver's seat, just looking forward. He's had a lot of seat time in this car in the lead up to this season. He wanted to get his head around it. He wanted to make sure he was comfortable, and he knew he would be, because the BMW is just an absolute beast on this game. But he's come along leaps and bounds. This is a man that, we talk about this a lot. He was upside down in a 3-hour race we did at Bathurst at the end of last year. His first time playing the game, he struggled to come to grips with it. He didn't know if he was ever really going to get his head around it. And look at him now. He's leading the way with half a second over Nick Carter. That doesn't really look like half a second, which makes me think, Trev, we talk about how close those gaps are in qualifying. If that's what half a second looks like, what does 0.02 of a second look like?
Well, the blink of an eye, I reckon, but might even be less than that, actually. I'd love to. We'll keep an eye on, if you pardon the pun, we'll keep an eye on those gaps. But anyway, you can see 51 minutes remaining, lap 5 already of this race. And welcome to the opening round of the season. Matt Tinetti there appeared to take an unusual line, certainly to me. We'll leave these guys to battle. Will Morgan there in P4 at the moment. As you can see, Fleming there in car number 7 for the Niqui Molly. Beautiful, the blue version of that livery for that team. 1.9 seconds now, so there's a gap emerging between the top 4 and Cam Fleming here. Down to P5, but he's in some clear air, isn't he? Which isn't always a bad thing, Isaac. He can just try and keep those tyres going a little bit longer, can't he, in some clear air here? Yeah, the clean air will play into it here, and it's going to be serving Matt Tinetti quite well. We talked about this last season when we had cars sitting in behind, especially between Matt Tinetti, and Simon Bishop battling away. I like to come back to that last round at Imola because it was just such an absolutely brilliant spectacle. The tyre temperature increases 7-fold when you're sitting behind another car. So for someone like Matt Tinetti, or even someone like Cameron Fleming, who has a bit of a gap to the car in front at the moment, this is serving him really well. He may not be right on the back of these guys. He's 2 seconds off the back of Will Morgan. But as long as he can stay around that 2-second mark, not lose too much more time,
and potentially go for an undercut, because the undercut is very powerful around here. Tyre life means everything in terms of translating into lap time. He will be able to make the difference. So that is something that's probably very smart from him at the moment. He is losing a few tenths a lap to the cars in front, so hopefully he can find a little bit of pace. He's got Aiden Holton about 2.5 seconds off him. So he's sort of sitting in no man's land at the moment. But there's a couple battles going on up and down the field, Trev, and it's getting sort of spicy, it looks like, down in the Pro-Am field.
Certainly is. Don't like I typically I like to stay away from too much spice, but if it's on the racetrack, it's nothing wrong with that. And you can see here Matchin right behind Hurley, and in the Mustang, love that gold and black and gold Mustang livery. You can see he's chasing down the top Ferrari runner in the field here this evening. And let me tell you, they talk about a blink of an eye being between a 1/10 and 4/10 of a second. You can see it's closing up very tightly. It's barely the blink of an eye between these two at the moment, but you can see Matchin and CP Greeny not too far ahead, but Matchin is flying here at the moment, and he is looking very, very racy here at the moment. Isaac, is he going to make some moves here?
Oh, let's hope so. He'll be on a bit of a mission since that contact early on in this race, which did put him down the order a bit, and he'll be fighting back through. He's got Mark Hurley and Josh Green in front of him, both very fast drivers. Mark Hurley making his debut here this weekend in AGT. A lot of drivers up and down the field making their debut here in AGT. But James Machen, he's a seasoned racer. He's a seasoned veteran in AGT and the races that we do here. And I have seen him quite a number of times fall down the field. Maybe an accident that was a bit unfortunate, not his fault, but he always finds a way to fight back. So definitely do not count him out as we get further into this race. And this is on your screen here. You see we just switched over to the leader of our AM class. He was runner-up last season, Trev, in the AM series, Clayton Twining. And they were in the Aston Martin last season for Victory Motorsport. They've jumped across to the Mercedes this season, and that is a very, very nice-looking Mercedes livery.
Absolutely. The snakeskin look. Who could forget the famous Jordan livery, of course, many, many years ago. But Clayton Twining, he's, I might say he's, that livery is my cup of tea, Twining there. But Mark Sinclair in that team as well, as you mentioned, finishing 12th in season number 1. But boy, this is a very close battle. Blue flags are out. The Italian marshals there are just giving the blue flags. As we take a look at Stewart here, car number 95. And Viper, who's well down the field. Liam Tame, of course, otherwise known as Viper, on his PSN ID. He is 5 laps down, and he is right at the back of the field, Isaac. What on earth has happened here?
So, I can shed a bit of light on this. I did know in advance ahead of time that Liam Tame, he's the chief marshal, or the chief pit lane in Speed Series Sydney this weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park for the SRO, the GT3 and GT4 championships, as well as the Ferrari Challenge and the Porsche Michelin Sprint. So he's there in charge of the pit lane. He's the big boss, as it were. And he lives right around the corner from Sydney Motorsport Park, but he finished at 7:30 and had to duck home. He sent me a message earlier in the day and said, as long as I do 75% of the race, I get points, right? I said, that's correct. So he's made sure he's in 46 minutes to go, so we've still got over 75% of the race left. He's 6 laps down, but he's just looking for points. He's in BCG 1 with Simon Bishop. So these guys won the title last season, and he knows better than anyone through the multiple series he's been, Oz NZ, Race on Oz. They know every single point counts when it comes to the team's championship, and seeing how competitive it is already just in this first race of the season, Trev, that's what his mind is focused on, is just getting in, getting classified and getting some points.
Absolutely. Points mean prizes, as they say. Lap 8 of this race, and this is showing no signs of letting up here. I'd love to pick your brains about strategy. We've heard the words, the famous words, of course, each and every race. We hear about undercuts and overcuts. What is stronger around this Misano circuit, Isaac? Is it, we thinking the undercut might work around here this evening?
Yeah, I think the undercut's the way to go. We spoke about that at Imola, and the few key drivers that we thought might take advantage of it really didn't. So hopefully they heed that warning and there'll be a few drivers to go for the undercut tonight. But someone like Simon Bishop, he's just set the fastest up of the race. He's got a lot of pace in that number 1 BMW. There's still 45 minutes to go, but sometime in the next 10 minutes, you could probably start thinking about doing the undercut. Your tyres are going to be worse off towards the end of the race, but especially in the BMW, which has a lot of front end aero and just makes it a lot easier to rotate the car. You're not scrubbing the tyres as much, which means you can look after them a lot easier. So the tyre life around here for these cars especially is really good. So if I was someone like a Simon Bishop, even a Will Morgan, maybe even a Cameron Fleming, I'd be coming in for the undercut, pitting early and gaining track position, or attempting to gain track position over those cars in front of me. But we've also seen, Trev, that the pit stops here on this game, in of course, are completely manual, and you've got to do it all yourself. So it's absolutely crucial. While the undercut might be powerful, if you muck up your pit stop, if you miss your pit box, that's valuable time, valuable seconds that can cost you in the pit lane.
Absolutely, those seconds can be costly here, I reckon. Matt Donetti having a moment. Nick Carter, Simon Bishop all over the back of him. Don't forget about Will Morgan there at the back of this pack. He is ready to make some moves. You can see there onto the start-finish straight. Matt Donetti trying to break the toe down the start-finish straight here at Misano. He is under pressure. Through turn 1 they go. First, second and third all together there. Will Morgan looked to go a bit deep, didn't he, through turn 1 there at the outside of our picture. But you can see Matt Donetti is under all sorts of pressure here. And we spoke about Cam Fleming, talking about the undercut. Is it, well, 3.6, so the undercut's not really going to work. And the other question is, Isaac, of course, the more these front drivers battle, as you mentioned, Simon Bishop taking the fastest lap of the race so far, the more they battle, the more it's going to take out of their tyres. And the other question as well is where are they going to come out, and will they come out into clear air? You can see the field spread. It's still fairly tightly packed, isn't it, down to P17 with Joy there in P17. So if you're going to get the pit stop in, it's all about where you come out in terms of track position, isn't it?
100%, and you're looking at what the pit lane time is here. I'll make sure I get those numbers for you. I don't have them off the top of my head because there's a lot of numbers to remember when it comes to the pit stop, but I will get those for you as we get closer to the pit stop time. But yeah, you're looking at, you can see on the little track map down the bottom corner, the gap between, I believe that is Aiden Holton and then James Machin, who's now made his way past Josh Green and Mark Hurley. So he's unleashed as well. And we talked about that, never to write him off. He's in 7th place now, and on an absolute mission to catch back up to these guys in the top 6. So you're going to be, I reckon, if you come into the lane now, and this is just a guess at the moment without looking at the pit stop transit time, you're going to come out in the middle of that battle pack, or just behind that massive battle pack that's now going through that final sector. So it's very two-sided in terms of strategy here. The undercut is powerful as long as you don't get caught in traffic, and that's what these guys look at. And you know, Formula Ones, GT3s, they have millions of not millions, but they have tens of data technicians and people they pay money to sit there on the pit wall and look at where every car is, and if you come in now, this is exactly where we'll come out. These guys don't have that. They just have themselves in the sim rig, driving around, maybe in party with a couple of their mates. They would have discussed what they needed in terms of fuel beforehand and what their potential strategy might be, but they're not looking at where the 20th place is and whether they're going to come out in front or behind them and whether there's a battle pack there. So it's all about, at this stage of the race, just pushing as hard as you can, building as big a gap as you can, and the more these guys battle, the more that's going to play into the hands of someone like a James Machin or a Cameron Fleming, because these guys might pit earlier and come out in traffic and it bites them in the, like, it comes back to bite them.
Absolutely, the voice of Isaac Fogarty, Mr. Adrenaline GT. It's your baby, this championship, and Season 1 was an absolute classic, and the beginning of Season 2. We're only 20 minutes into the new season. But who will be taking the gold jacket here in this opening round at Misano? Big questions still remain unanswered, of course, because Nick Carter there, P2, Simon Bishop, P3. Let's recap if you are just joining us. Isaac, what have they been doing? They needed to be here much earlier, but we can give you a quick recap as Morgan in P4, then Fleming in P5. Then Holton Machin, of course, as we mentioned, in some clear air, of course. And then Hurley, the highest of the Ferrari runners. CP Greeny, P9, then P10. And interesting to see the pro drivers in the top 10 positions on the circuit. And then it's Silva, Max Silva, and who's done very well to get back into this championship, as we know. And you can see there, is that James Barton moving aside in the Ferrari there. Possibly the only red Ferrari in the field tonight, of course. Number 91, James Barton there. And it's telling us he's made his pit stop, but it appears he's well down the field here, Isaac, and he's got some traffic to contend with here lower down the field.
And as we said, that is you can see there is another red Ferrari of Lee going through there at the moment, who is up the order in 14th place. But as we were talking about, that is the crux of hitting early here. You get your stop out of the way, it's all done. Potentially maybe damage for Barton, and that's why he had to come in early. But he's 2 laps down, and he's just stuck in traffic, which means it's going to be hard to come back from here. He's having to give way to all these guys in front of him that are on a lap ahead. So that's the difficulty of it. I did get those transit times, so 67% of the lap is lost. 63-second transit time, including a 30-second stop for tyre change. So 67% of your lap. That's not an insignificant amount, Trev. That is a fair fair chunk of the lap. So you want to consider who's about halfway around the circuit when you come into the lane, and then add probably another corner or two on, and that's sort of where you're going to spit out.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Isaac, they don't have, it's not like Formula One or World Endurance Championship, MotoGP. They don't have a huge team they don't have a massive strategy team, do they? It's very much a couple of guys, maybe teammates or a few other guys in a party chat, trying to work everything out. They don't have massive amounts of information at their disposal. So it's one of those things, it really comes down to racecraft and that racing IQ to just know, like a sixth sense on when to come in, and in terms of strategy, what is the best option, the best thing to do. As you can see here, it's very much, I don't want to say we're in a holding pattern, but Will Morgan has dropped down by a second and a half there from the lead trio, but I wonder, we're still not seeing any pit stop action here at the moment. We are approaching half race distance here in this opening round of the new Adrenaline GT ACC Assetto Corsa Competizione Season 2, Round 1, brand new season. There's always a great air of excitement, isn't there, Isaac, at the start of a new season? So much excitement, so much expectation, and we talked at the top of the show, familiar faces are back again, but some of the new guys, they're going to be very exciting as we continue through this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of new faces up and down the field. Will Morgan, we saw him for one race, or 2 races I should say, 1 round last season at Indianapolis, and he won obviously on debut. His first race in AGT, he took the spoils, and then a bit of a tricky second race for him with a bit of contact at turn 1. But he's definitely one to keep a lookout for. Mark Hurley, obviously jumping in the number 100. He is reserving tonight for Cactus Racing 2, but he obviously very quick driver. He's in 8th place at the moment, doing an excellent job. Senan Stalley, it's his debut run in AGT tonight. Lee also, we've got, who else we've got down the field? Norley. There's quite a lot of drivers. I'm just looking up and down the field to see who is new, but there's quite a lot of new faces up and down the field that are doing great job so far. Obviously, Lee currently sitting 4th in class for the Pro-Am, so he's doing a brilliant job.
Well, he might have made a move there. He was P4. He's made a move on Staley here at the moment, so that is a very nice move. We were just giving him a rap and talking about Gordon off the circuit in the background there. Car number 25 having a moment on that occasion, and James Barton just behind him. But I don't believe that is full position, of course, with James Barton well down the field. Gordon has gone off the circuit, and now he's come straight into the pits. Make sure you get down to that 50 km/h mark, but very scruffy lap on that occasion, and he's come into the pits, and from P5 in his Pro-Am class. So a little bit scruffy on that in lap there, not ideal on that occasion, Isaac, and talked about the time that these drivers lose in a pit stop, as we see him coming into the pits there. Car number 5 has had a moment there. Yellow flags are out, and there is a stationary Ferrari on the circuit. And what is happening here, Isaac? We can see that that is down at turn 11, and he's got going again, I believe, so maybe some connection issues for him.
Yeah, and I'm just watching. Here come the leaders through, so he's going to have to try and stay right out of the way. This is a really tricky section of the circuit for the car to stop. Potentially connection issues. We've also seen instances in the past where drivers accidentally bump the ignition switch and turn the car off on the straight, so that may have also happened for poor Porsche GT Jaden DeWitt, as he is known in real life. We had a bit of a glitch with his name, that's why it says GT, but Porsche GT, he comes into the lane now to serve his pit stop, so potentially, yeah, maybe bumped the ignition switch on his car there. He'll come in to serve his stop. I also noticed when Gordon came to the pit lane early, he made contact with that outside wall as he entered the lane, so that's something else to watch out for as drivers enter the pits, is whether they're making contact with that wall, because damage as well is also going to cost you time and repair. So we talk about how you lose 63 seconds. It becomes a lot more if you have to sit and repair damage as well.
Absolutely, and we saw in qualifying those 1:33.90 seconds around this circuit, so you're losing almost 2/3 of a lap. Not that they're at qualifying pace, of course, in this race so far, but we can see 1.1 seconds out of DRS range. If we had DRS, Isaac, he would be out of DRS range, but we can see Matchin into the pits along with Lasbrook there in the Mustang. It's not too exciting seeing the cars just sitting there in the pits, but when are we going to see any one of these top 10? We can see Matchin has pulled the pin. He's in the pits, and the first of that top 10 group of pro drivers to come into the pits. So this will be a test to see how strong that undercut is here in this race.
Absolutely. We talked about someone needs to pull the trigger, someone needs to go the undercut, and there's no one in a better position to do that than James Machin. He is suffering in terms of track position at the moment following that contact we saw early on in the race. He's come out behind Twining, so just in the mix of the lead cars in this AM class at the moment. He's got Liam Taman behind him, who's a very quick and capable driver. Here we go. There you go. You asked when we're going to see someone blink. We've just seen someone blink. Simon Bishop is in the lane, Trev.
Here we go, and I knew it wouldn't be too far away. Of course, mandatory pit stop here this evening. Let's have a look. Getting back to our race leaders, how powerful is the undercut going to be here this evening at the Misano World Circuit? We shall see. Here, the Italian job is Simon Bishop, the Kiwi, going to do an Italian job on the rest of the field here tonight. He's a wily old customer. Like I keep saying, you've got to get up very early to beat Simon Bishop at anything, and if anybody can do it, it's Matt Donetti, that's for sure. And he has been absolutely dominating, hasn't he, across multiple platforms in the sim racing world, an up-and-coming superstar, if he's not already. We see Hurley Silver in the pits as well from top 3 in the Pro-Am class, but let's get back to our race leaders. Are we going to see them come into the pits this time around? They're going to be losing time, aren't they, Isaac? The more they squabble, it's going to cost them. Yeah,
this is crucial. This is probably a free kick for Simon Bishop if it carries on, but Mazzanetti is in the lane. Nick Carter will stay out, take advantage of that fresh air. Mazzanetti comes in the lane, pull it up before we get to the 50 sign. We've seen a couple drivers just missed that line, and we're receiving word that there potentially may be a drive-through or 30-second stop-go coming from Max Silva. We believe he overshot the pit entry, didn't enable his limiter in time, and there you go, as if on cue, 30-second stop-go for our Pro-Am, or who was our Pro-Am class leader, for speeding in the pit lane. So he overshot the entry. Some of these drivers have their pit limiter set to manual. He is one of those drivers. Forgot to enable the limiter and went over the 50km/h speed limit, which will bite you. But our race leader now, Mazzanetti into the lane. Nick Carter inherits the race lead for now. Yet to stop. Will Morgan also yet to stop. Cameron Fleming is also yet to stop. So our top 3 drivers yet to stop in this race. Where will Mazzanetti come out? That is the question that we are asking ourselves. Simon Bishop, 17th at the moment, 6 seconds back on Andrew Griffin. Do you think, well, I'll put it to you, Trev, how close between Matt Donetti and Simon Bishop do you think it's going to be?
Oh, I tell you what, it's going to be very close. I reckon that undercut very powerful. We can see Simon Bishop. I'm going to give you the politician answer. It is election weekend. I'm going to give you all the Christian Horner answer, where you tend to talk but not really answer the question. But I think Simon Bishop is a very good position here. You can see him where he is on the track, coming down into the series of corners.
Halfway through. Keep pushing.
Thank you. Half race distance. I reckon Matt's got him here. I reckon he's got him quite easily. I reckon you can see there the gap was just too much of a gap, wasn't it, for Simon Bishop to overcome. He's going to have his work cut out now for him in the second half of the race.
Yeah, and I think that gap's actually grown. It's about 4.5 seconds now, which I don't believe it was that close. It was maybe about 2.5 seconds before Simon came into the lane. So potentially a pit stop issue for Matt Donetti, or we've been led astray in the data and the overcut's actually more effective, which will play into the hands of Nick Carter as well, who is currently still out on the circuit. He is leading the way in this race. We've got Will Morgan and Cameron Fleming into the pit lane. Josh Green now into the lane as well. And yeah, Nick Carter's got the lights flashing. Maybe someone in front he wants to get out of the way. It is Clayton Twining, who's the AM class, or was AM class leader. He's second in class at the moment, yet to stop. Ian Stewart leading the way in the AM class. But this is crucial for Nick Carter. How easily can he get through this lap traffic? Because that's the thing, Trev. It's all well and good to stay out and run long, but in situations like this where you're having to try and navigate your way through blue flags and slower cars, this can also cost you time.
Absolutely. Stop and go has cleared for car number 75. He's got to go, and he's not actually coming across this lap traffic in the best part of the circuit, is he? But we see him wasting no time into the pit lane. Stewart just ahead of him, but our race leader comes into the pits, and you can see Donetti, Simon Bishop, Will Morgan, Cam Fleming, and the rest of them there. We're going to keep an eye on Matt Donetti here at the moment. Is he going to have him stop and go? Also cleared for car number 552. Coming directly from race control here at the Misano World Circuit Adrenaline GT Championship season opener, round 1 of season 2. And I reckon Matt Donetti, he's looking in very, very good shape here at the moment. You can see he's made his pit stop, mandatory pit stop, of course. He's been in, had his stop for the car number 51 in the BMW. You can see they're all coming in ahead of him, and I reckon he's going to get this done quite easily here. So the overcut, we'll wait and see. You watch the track, I'll watch the pit lane. Nick Carter, can he get out? He's down off the jacks and back into the lane. This is going to be close here. Let's see what happens here. Matt Donetti, Isaac, who are you tipping? Who are you putting your money on?
I think it's going to be close. It's such a long pit lane before you're released. It's right before the exit where you're actually released from the pit limiter. So Nick Carter's got to sit on that limiter for such a long time, and I think, there you go, Matt Donetti through the second phase of the corner, and Nick Carter's not quite off the limiter yet. He's now off the limiter, and he comes out of the lane. He's actually been jumped by Simon Bishop, which is huge. That undercut, finally, I've got it right. I've made a good call. Simon Bishop, that undercut has pulled through and netted him P2 overall on correction once all these guys stop. So that is massive for Nick Carter and Simon Bishop. Track position, so key around here, as it is with all the circuits on this game. You can get overtakes done, but it's very difficult once you are behind in dirty air to make it stick. But then again, if anyone can get it done, it's Nick Carter in that Mustang, because as we've mentioned many times, there's not a lot of weight in that Mustang. There is a bit of weight in that BMW.
Not a lot of extra ballast, like we said at the top of our show. And Clayton Twining getting a quite severe stop-go penalty. I say severe, but it's 30 seconds there. Not too sure what happened there for him. You can see young Liam there still continuing on at the rear of the field, and we see most of the drivers, I say most of the drivers, Staley and Sandwith in the Pro-Am class yet to make their stops. And really, in many ways, what do they have to gain, Isaac, by going longer, staying out, trying for the overcut Do you think it's going to be working to their advantage here this evening?
It's hard to tell, Trev. Obviously, these guys are going to have a lot more tyre life when we get to the end of this race. They're going to be in a lot better position in terms of what they can use and attack towards the end. But they're also running around on 35-minute-old, 21-lap-old tyres, which you've got guys like Mazzinetti in behind who are running on 4-lap-old tyres, and all the Pro-M class pretty much have now stopped. You've got Nathan Lee leading the way in the 53 car. I know Les Sandwich was up the pointy end of that field, so I think we're going to see him drop a fair way down the order, especially with someone like Mazzinetti, who is closing in now at a rapid rate of knots. That gap is pretty much halved over the course of this first phase of the lap. It was 4.5 seconds when we kicked off this 21st lap of the race. So I don't know if it's going to serve them the way they want it to. It's a very bold call, that's for sure, but sometimes, Trev, you've got to do something different just to see how you go.
Absolutely, and they might as well. You can see Les Sandwich there, car number 15, and you can see Staley is in the pits, and Les Sandwich, let's see what he does, running slightly wide there through the penultimate corner. He's staying out. He's got a very, very quick driver right behind him there, as somebody off in the background there. It looked like Boyd in the Matt Boyd, of course, in the that's a very good team name as well, isn't it? Fogarty Motorsport. Love that one. 13th in season 1, of course, but Sandwich staying out there. They finished 9th in season 1. Ferrari 296, looking very nice indeed, as Matt Dinetti wasting no time. He is looking good so far, but still plenty of time here. Still a long, long way to go. Track temperature 35 degrees, no rain to speak of. 28 degrees air temperature, no real wind to speak of either here in Italy. And so far, it's been a fantastic season opener. We finished in Italy, and we're back here in Italy for round 1, and there's a drive-through penalty for car number 16, the Porsche. Elzine has been a bit of a naughty boy there. A drive-through penalty for him, Isaac.
Yeah, that's for exceeding track limits. So the stewards, they'll give you a slap on the wrist. You get 3 warnings before you get a drive-through. We saw this a number of times last season. Drivers getting a slap from the stewards about exceeding track limits, and you never know. We don't get the data on how many warnings these drivers actually have. I did find out following the race at Imola, Matt Dinetti was sitting on 3 track warnings from 10 minutes into the race till the end of the race, and it was a 90-minute race. So for 80 minutes, that man, who was running within a half a second of Simon Bishop for the entirety of the 90-minute race at Imola, spent most of that race with no track limit warnings left, and if he exceeded track limits even once, he was getting a drive-through. So these guys are on the edge every single lap, every single corner. There's nothing left in terms of room, and one small mistake can punish you, and we've seen that there for Elzine. He now gets a drive-through for his troubles, but if he's getting a drive-through now, I have to ask myself, and I have to ask you as well, Trev, how many of these drivers are getting close to or on their final warning, and could we see more drive-throughs before this race is over?
Well, I reckon that's, you can see another one there, car number 16, drive-through penalty, and hello.
Oh, well, that's huge.
Will Morgan has a drive-through penalty. You put the question out on just how many would we see if we were going to see more drive-through penalties here this evening, and this is big. This could be big for the championship as well. I know it's only round 1 out of 10, but that is huge, and that is going to put him well down the field. Wow, Will Morgan, he's not the first to fall foul of the stewards here, but you can see these drivers, like you said, Isaac, leaving nothing to chance. We saw how close it was in qualifying, in the qualifying session as well, but well, he's just pushed a little bit too far there on that occasion in keeping all 4 wheels and tyres inside the white lines, and that's going to cost him dearly. When does he serve the penalties? He got the 3 laps to serve it? Is that how it usually works, Isaac, of course, in this racing series?
So you've got 3 laps to serve it. That's set by the stewards in the game, so they give you 3 laps to to serve that penalty, and you lose about 28 seconds or 30% of your lap just serving a drive-through. So that will put him potentially about 13th, maybe 12th or 13th. So just to where that top end of the Pro-Am class is, that's where he will pop out at this stage of the race. So potentially going to use the next 2 laps to just push as hard as he can to pull as far away from the cars in front as he possibly can. Obviously now he's got the drive-through, his track limit warnings reset, so if he wants to use 1 or 2, he can. That's at his own risk obviously, but he can sort of start to use the track limits again now. But if he does get another one, he will have to serve 2 drive-throughs, so that's got to be very careful. Matt Boyd also getting a drive-through for his troubles. He's in the pit lane serving that at the moment. That is Georgie Takacs, also the other Fogarty Motorsport Junior car. Again, not impartial to that team, but they a very lovely looking McDonald's livery on that car. 2 laps down at the moment from Chris Lashbrook, so 2 laps down to the car behind. And he's doing a great job in 27th place at the moment. 31 cars still running in this race. We did have 32 at one stage, so we do have a DNF somewhere in the field. But yeah, it's all running fairly smoothly right now. Oh, actually, I say that. I've just seen, Trev, we've got another one. They are dropping like flies at the moment. Josh Gordon in 12th place has found himself with the drive-through. So the commentator's curse is really starting to take effect now, because we've got another one that's getting slaps from the stewards.
Absolutely, they're handing them out like candy at the moment. The stewards, they're being kept very, very busy, as we see Will Morgan now in the pit lane, and Gordon there receiving one as well. As soon as you said everything's running smoothly, I had a feeling, Isaac, that we knew that wouldn't last very long, and the commentator's curse striking us in real time. But he is all over the back of the car number 57, the Ford Mustang. But it's all really for nothing, isn't it? Because he's in the pit lane now. He's nudged the wall on the inside. They are so unforgiving. A very tight pit lane entry here at Misano. We might get back to the front and look at this. Nick Carter v Simon Bishop. This isn't pay-per-view, Isaac, but boy, I'm glad we've got front row seats to this.
Yeah, this is edge of your seat stuff, and we're giving it all away on YouTube. No one has to pay to watch this. This is some of the best free-to-air action that you could get. Value for money. Look at how much room Nick Carter is using on the exit in towards turns 13 and 14. Heavy braking into turn 14, the hairpin. Now he'll try and set himself up on the exit of 15 down towards the final corner. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make anything stick this time. He has a little look up the inside of Simon Bishop. But this is edge of your seat stuff, and it's a free kick for Martinetti, who now has a 3.6 second gap between himself and Simon Bishop. So that gap has closed up a little bit, but I would expect that to not really close up while these two are battling away, because Martinetti earlier had a rear view mirror full of the TTR Westside Mustang. Now it's Simon Bishop's turn to have a rear view mirror full of TTR Westside Mustang.
Absolutely, the hunted has become the hunter, or whichever way it goes. I never get that right, Isaac. You'll get used to that in this season. Some things, it's live, isn't it? It's live broadcasting, live commentary. The words come out of your mouth, and guess what? You can't get them back. But Carter all over the back of Simon Bishop. But let's be honest, Simon Bishop, he's been here before. He knows exactly what he needs to do. 16 corners of this circuit. He knows exactly where he needs to position that BMW. And he's got P1 next to his name for a reason, Isaac. And as you can see, Carter all over the back of him there. And we've got to say that 3.4 seconds is the gap to our pro class leader in Matt Dinetti. And this man, that BMW, looking very good in the hands of Matt Dinetti here at the moment. Drive-through cleared there for car number 91, the Ferrari of James Barton there, clearing his penalty. And although it still says he's got that on the screen, which is interesting. I've seen that happen before, Isaac, where some people come in, they serve their penalties, and it still goes against their name. So very interesting, but look at this. Nick Carter, he's getting ready here, lining up Simon Bishop as we approach turn 1. Not quite getting it done there on that occasion, but he's still very, very close.
It's very, very close indeed, and they are slowly gaining. I said they were losing a bit of time to Martinetti, and they did in that last sector, but they gained 2 tenths across the first 2 sectors in the previous lap. So they're starting to reel in Mazzanetti, which it's getting me excited at the thought of potentially having a three-way fight for victory as we get towards the end of this race. But it's growing back out again, so it is growing out again. We've seen James Barton move up to 16th, so there has been a disconnect somewhere in there as well. I've just noticed. So a couple cars maybe having connection issues in this race. We have lost Porsche GT already in this race, and we have potentially lost another one, but it's getting, oh, here we go. This is getting very spicy out the front. Nick Carter has a look to the inside of Simon Bishop. This is a very, very bold corner to make the move. The fast left-hander flat out through that corner. There's no lifting at all. And take a bow, Nick Carter. That was a brilliant racing move up the inside of Simon Bishop, putting a move on the champ. And that is a great job. Up into second place. Textbook move. Just positioned himself really well. We talked about how fast that Mustang is in a straight line, Trev, and he's just made that look absolutely easy. He's just walked past him.
Absolutely, and boy, round one of a new championship, Isaac. Does that not send a message to the reigning champion for the Pro Class? What a gutsy move. Turn 11, that is flat out, isn't it? Through there, through that section of the circuit, turns 11, 12 and 13. And boy, is that sending a message not only to Simon Bishop, but to the rest of the Pro Class that Nick Carter, he's one to keep an eye on this season.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on this season. TTR Westside were very strong last season, second in the Teams Championship, and James Machin, one of only two drivers that weren't from the BCG fold to take a race win in the rounds last season. So Nick Carter, force to be reckoned with. I talked to a few of the BCG boys earlier in the week about who they thought were going to be title contenders, and they didn't mean any disrespect to anyone, but they really saw CP Motorsports as their key title contenders for this season. They weren't really concerned about TTR Westside, and I think if I'm BCG now and I'm looking at that move that Nick Carter's just pulled off, I'm concerned about TTR Westside.
Absolutely, I tell you what, it's we don't want to go too early. 10 rounds of this championship, of course. But boy, that really does send a message to the rest of the field. Simon Bishop, he's dropping back as well. So Nick Carter, is there a final twist in the tail? 13 minutes remaining in this race, and it is not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. Mazzanetti is out in front. We've got 4 BMWs in the top 5. We've got the lone Mustang there in Nick Carter. 3.7 seconds is the gap. So it'll be interesting to see how those tyres come along late in this race. But Simon Bishop, the wily old customer, 1.2 seconds is the gap now, Isaac. Is he just dropping back? Is he just saving some of the tyres? Just doing a bit of tyre whispering there to maybe have a late run at Nick Carter. But the pace of Nick Carter, it's just hard to see how he's going to get back into this one.
Well, there's one thing I've learned about Simon Bishop is that you can never write him off. You don't know what he's up to. He's dropped 1.3 seconds back, so it could be that he doesn't have the pace. It could just be that he's saving tyres. Remember, Nick Carter was the last of the drivers to come into the lane to take his stop, so he's on the freshest tyres out of everybody. He went on for about another 5 or 6 laps before he actually came into the lane to take his stop. So he's on much better rubber than Simon Bishop, who was actually one of the first drivers. He was the first from the lead group to blink. And we've got James Machin now sizing up a move on Aiden Holton, the other CP Motorsports car in the 98 BMW. So this is the TTR Westside boys getting aggressive in the late stages of this race, trying to vie for track position because they know that every single point counts. Just like Liam Tame with the getting in this race just to get points. These boys know that every position means points and points count. Oh, excuse me. Bit of a lack of oxygen there. But points count when you get to the back end of this season, Trev.
They certainly do. I tell you what, we haven't got time to take a breath here at the moment because look at this. Here comes James Machin, car 193, all over the back of that 98 BMW entry. Nick Carter as well, P2 and P6 so far for TTR Westside. They'll be staying off the west side, of course, if he can get this move done. Season 1, they finished in P2 overall from season 1, and they'll be looking to go one better this year, but he's run slightly wide, and that's not going to help his cause at all. Sinclair behind him there, but not for position, of course. Sinclair well down the field in the AMG at Mercedes-Benz, but 10 minutes to go in this one. You can see there, it's a few tenths of a second. It's a few more than 3 tenths now, as you can see, but we'll continue through the field here and look for some other battles. Elzine, the Porsche. Not too many Porsches in the field tonight here, but this one's looking to make some moves here, Isaac.
Yeah, this is the only Porsche with his teammate not racing this evening. So he's the lone Porsche, lone representative in the field. He's looking to make some moves up the inside of Riley Nicholson. Didn't quite get the position to make the move. Done a drive-through as well for Les Samwith in the number 15 Ferrari. So another one bites the dust as once famous, or not once famous, still very famous British band Douce. And that is another drive-through for another driver in this field. Elzine on recovery drive from a drive-through himself, and he's currently 14th on the road. So looking to find his way past Riley Nicholson. This is a great battle going on between these two. Riley Nicholson missed a couple rounds last season, didn't quite have the results he would have wanted towards the top end of the season, but as we got into the last few rounds, he's really started to find his feet, really started to feel like he was getting to grips with this car and with the Pro-Am category. So 4th in class at the moment, with his teammate not too far ahead of him. He's doing quite well at this stage of the race to sit, 4th in class. Very good, some very fast names up there. A bit wide there for Elzine on the entry into turn 14. That'll be a track limit warning. So how many has he got to his name again in this second phase of track limit penalties? The second time you get a track limit penalty, I believe it's a 10-second stop-go. So you won't want to get all 3 warnings used up too early with only 8 minutes to go in this race. And move up the inside down towards turn 1. He has a look. Has he got the car positioned deep enough up the inside? Very nice amount of respect and room left with Riley Nicholson, but he holds his line. Does Riley Nicholson, gives him the inside line for turn 2. Back towards turn 3. He's trying to get an overlap as Elzine as we run down into turn 4. A little bit of side-to-side contact maybe between the two drivers through turn 5, but that is the move done from Adam Elzine. A brilliant overtake, and that was absolutely clinical. We've seen some very good overtakes in this racetrack, but that has to be one of the best.
Unbelievable. Can I look? I can't watch. No, I can now. That is incredible, isn't it? What a move. Wow. Boy, have we seen some moves. We saw Carter on Bishop there a little bit earlier on. Was it turn 11? That was a terrific move, and that one was pretty good as well. I tell you what, we are getting to the business end of this race. A tick under 8 minutes remaining in this one. Lap 32 of this race, and however many laps we can get in the next 7.5 minutes. Car numbers 26 and 15 have cleared their drive-through penalties, but 4.1 seconds is the gap in the pro class. I'm about to say, can he grab P1, but he's 4.1 seconds further back. Simon Bishop, is he accepting P3? We know, we've talked about him all night. Simon Bishop never done with yet. Cam Fleming in P4. How have you seen his race, Isaac? P4, he's kept it neat and tidy. He's kept it all within the white lines. And P4, is he going to be happy with that?
I think you never truly, as a racer, you're never truly happy with finishing in P4. Everyone wants to win, as we all do, but I think it's been a very good result for him. He qualified quite well inside the top 10, and he's just been quite a bit of the quiet achiever in this race. Positioned himself well, stayed out of trouble early on, and just had the pace, maybe not to run with those top guys, but someone like Will Morgan getting a drive through and dropping down the order. James Matron receiving contact with Aiden Holton early in this race, so both cars sustaining a bit of damage and dropping down the order. He stayed out of the way, he stayed out of trouble, and he's done the job that he needed to do to set himself up for a strong result here in the first race. As we've talked about many times, it's a long season, and points matter. Consistency matters when you're fighting for championships. So to be in the question for the championship at the end of the season, you have to be up the top, and that's what he's done. But he's also made sure he stays out of trouble and stayed out of the way. So doing really well. Definitely one of my top drivers this race, but highly under the radar, I think, in terms of his performance, because he's just been in no man's land, keeping to himself.
Absolutely, and he's been minding his own business. Here is Holton, P5 in the Pro class. James Matchin there in P6, car number 193. And he was closer than that, wasn't he, in the last couple of laps, but we saw him ran a bit deep there and made a mistake, and that's put him a little bit further afield. Then it's Hurley in the Ferrari, car number 100, Will Morgan, who has served his drive-through penalty. Now he's looking at Mr. Hurley thinking, I want a piece of that action, and he is all over the back of that P7 Ferrari here at the moment.
Yeah, he's absolutely sizing up Liam Tame, trying to get out of the way there, which I think caught out Morgan a little bit because he was trying to go to that left-hand side to get up the inside as they ran down into turn number 10. But he's going to have to push a little bit harder here through this final sector. The Aston struggles through this bit. The Ferrari, a bit of it will be the stronger car through here, but Will Morgan, he is an absolute beast. Again, there's going to be a car stuck on the outside there as they come through the final corner. Blue flag showing for Mark Sinclair. He will try to get out of the way where he can, but the drivers are advised with blue flags to get out of the way when it's safe to do so. I've got a car off the circuit. Is there contact between Liam Tame and the car off the circuit? It looks like there was. He did a great job not to enter the circuit in order to avoid contact with the majority of those lead runners. That would have been huge if that had happened. Shades of Suzuka round 4 last season when another car in a similar situation re-entered the circuit and made contact. I believe that may have been Matt Boyd, who is yet to serve his stop in this race. He has a drive-through. Christopher Lashbrook has a drive-through for his troubles in the 552 Mustang as well. It's all happening at the moment up and down the field, but Hurley now has lost the spot to Morgan. So in the midst of all the chaos, that has been a change of position, and Mark Hurley will drop down to 8th place. Will Morgan on the charge. He's got James Machin 13 seconds up the road, and with 3 minutes to go, that's a massive margin to overcome. I just noticed as well at the front end of the field, Trev, Mazzinetti, the gap did close down to about 3 seconds, but it's gone out to about 3.8 now, so that gap has grown back out again, which tells me that somewhere along the line Mazzinetti's made a mistake, so maybe a bit of fatigue starting to play a role in the back end of this race.
Yep, it's definitely not maybe as much in a 60-minute race as what we might see in some of the, I think we've got a 4-hour race, don't we, later in the season, of course, for the endurance rounds. But yeah, fatigue can set in, it can become a factor. The concentration of these drivers is simply incredible, as we've got a yellow flag out there. I'm sure that'll clear very, very shortly for a pit lane infringement of some sort. But coming up to some traffic now. He lost a few tenths of a second, so we missed that, but he might have made a mistake somewhere, Matt Dinetti, but he hasn't made too many of them, has he? And in car number 51, and you can see he took pole position by the barest of margins, not even a blink of an eye, that's for sure, because that's between a tenth and 4 tenths of a second we've learnt. You learn something new every day, don't you, Isaac? Isn't it wonderful? That's what we love about even in sim racing. You learn something new every race, but that gap is out to 4 seconds, and even with the traffic, it looks like we're going to have this lap and one more, and that could very well be it for this race. In fact, we might have another lap on top of that, because we've still got 2 minutes to go here. So this will be not the penultimate lap, but we'll wait and see here. Getting out of the way, the traffic there for Matt Dinetti. You can see Nick Carter absolutely flying here this evening, but it's looking at this stage like it's going to be P2 for him. Simon Bishop in P3. And just recapping for those hopefully not just joining us, because I'm sure you've been with us right throughout this Adrenaline GT ACC Season 2, Round 1, the season opener, the Italian job. They call it the Italian job, and Matt Dinetti is looking like he is going to be the getaway driver here this evening. Fleming, and then it's Holton, was under pressure from Machin, but he's doing quite well there in P5. Holton in P5, Machin in P6. Good result for TTR West Side. There's some damage on the front of that car too, Isaac, so he might have been up to no good. As Will Morgan, P7, what could he have done without that drive-through penalty? He would have comfortably been inside that top 5, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that'll be an absolute kicker. He'll be kicking himself for that, because he was comfortably inside the top 5. P7 in such a strong field. Still a really good result, but he knows that he can do a lot better, and he'll be looking to bounce back when we head to Spain next week. But yeah, it's been an absolutely brilliant race. We saw how close the margins were in qualifying, which meant that it's going to be absolutely huge in this race as the timer continues to count down. We've got 30 seconds to go. Mazzanetti is leading the way, and I'm quite close with Matt. He's a good personal friend of mine. I know how much this will mean to him. He wanted last season to get the win so badly. He had two opportunities, one where he was leading at Zolder and locked up with 2 corners to go, and then just couldn't get the move done at Imola. He's been pushing so hard, learning so much to make this count and to make this worthwhile for him and to have fun exceeding the track limits right here. But this will be the final lap, Trevor, and I'll hand it over to you to call it home. But yeah, this is going to mean the world to this man.
It's going to mean the world to Matt Donetti, his teammate as well. Good result for CP Motorsports, isn't it, Isaac? Aidan Holton, car number 98 in P5 as well. So first and fifth, very important. They finished fourth, of course, didn't they, in season 1. You're very close with this man. He's only got a few corners to go, of course. Don't want to go too soon. We know anything can happen in sim racing, and we don't want to put a commentator's curse on him, but I don't think anything could stop this man. I've gone with the commentator's curse, but he is looking very good. The gap is 4.1 seconds. Matt Donetti through turns 11, 12, 13 we go for the final time here in this season opener. He will take victory here tonight for himself and CP Motorsports. What a result in this opening round. We talked about sending messages to the rest of the field in this championship, and boy, oh boy, Matt Donetti is doing that. Out of the final corner, onto the start-finish straight to take victory in the pro class. Matt Donetti takes the victory here. Nick Carter for TTR Westside finishing in P2. There is Simon Bishop, P3 for him. Our reigning pro class champion starts season 2 with a podium finish, and then it's Cam Fleming across the line. It's going to be 4 BMWs inside the top 5, and there's going to be one heck of a party. Get the cannoli out here at Bassano for CP Motorsports 1 and 5 here. Good result too for TTR West here tonight. P6 for James Amachin to Will Morgan coming across the line. Despite that drive-through penalty, he finishes P7 on the circuit this evening. Hurley in the first of the Ferraris there in P8. And the local Tifosi, the Italians, won't be too happy with that, Isaac. A Ferrari in P8. Here comes CP Greeny as well. He's got the checkered flag. Lee there winning the Pro-Am class as well. Ferrari taking victory, albeit in the Pro-Am class here this evening. Great to see for the home fans. But here comes Gray across the line. Podium finish in his respective class. Elzine, who looked racy, didn't he, Isaac, in the final part of that race, as we see the rest of our drivers coming across the line. Stewart taking victory in car number 95 there in the Aston Martin. Good result for them. And we see Clayton Twining now coming home to take P2 in his class. Good result for him. He was in the wars early in this race, Isaac, but he's going to finish with a podium, and that's a positive start in the opening round for him of this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. He was second in Pro-Am class at the end of that championship last season. So a P2 early on in this will be great for him. Class victory for Ian Stewart as well, which this is the first race that he's done that is the longer race format. He was last season, we only saw him in the Super Sprint. So this is his first time doing the pit stops and the 60 minutes of racing in this game. And he's done an absolutely brilliant job to bring that home in P1 in class. So great job. Very, very, very wonderful, brilliant, excellent, all the superlatives drive for Matt Donetti to bring that home in P1 for his first victory in AGT. And what a way to start season 2, Trev. What a statement to make. This man was Pro-Am all last season, came second in the Pro-Am Championship after missing rounds early on, and everyone was pushing for him to go pro because they just knew the talent and the skill of this driver, this man, the caliber that he has. And he didn't think he was there but he's proved a point tonight with taking that victory.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Matt Donetti winning that race. Nick Carter in P2. Simon Bishop rounding out your pro podium. And what a fantastic result for that team here this evening. And continuing on through the rest of the classes, of course, Lee, Gray and Staley, new to this championship, taking the Pro-Am honours. And fantastic results all round here this evening. But what a performance from Matt Donetti. Here's our pro winner this evening. And Isaac, just like that, that is round one of this new season, done and dusted. It's gone very quickly. They say time flies when you're having fun. And tonight went far too quickly, didn't it?
Absolutely, but the great news is, Trev, we get to do this all again next week where we head to the Spanish Super Sprint for round 2. So we try and space the rounds out as much as we can. Obviously, between now and the end of August will be the length of the run for Season 2. But we wanted to get things to hit the ground running. We wanted a couple fast rounds, show off the different formats that we have available here at AGT in terms of the racing. So the 1 hour format this week. Next week we jump into the Spanish Super Sprint with 2 10-minute quali sessions and 2 30-minute races where no pit stop is required. It's just go for gold, flat out from start to finish, and that'll be absolutely brilliant, and I'm very much looking forward to that, Trev.
Absolutely, cannot wait for that one. Friday the 9th of May, as you mentioned, Isaac, round 2, the Spanish Super Sprint from the Circuit de Barcelona in Catalonia. That is going to be absolutely fantastic indeed, but we're almost out of time here. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring this broadcast to you. I've been your host, Trevor Byers, alongside Isaac Fogarty. Thank you, Isaac. Boy, if that's anything to go by, we're in for a cracker of a season, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in. Wherever you are watching in the world, either live or post-broadcast, we appreciate you tuning in. And thanks for having me in the commentary box, Trev. It's been an absolute pleasure to work alongside you.
Pleasure's been all mine. That is our lot. That is a wrap of this opening round. The Italian job. It was very much Matt Donetti, wasn't it, in the getaway car here this evening. And a special mention to TrackSpotTV and RavenComms. Check us out at allthews.trackspot.tv, all your broadcasting and commentary needs. And if you want to join the team, we are recruiting, and it would be great to have you on board for that. But that's been a wrap of this opening round of the brand new Adrenaline GT Season 2 for ACC. And be kind to one another. This is Trevor Byers and Isaac Fogarty signing off, and we'll see you again next time around. But for now, it's goodbye.
Been trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was breathing. what you want.